Okay, good afternoon. If Public Works is okay, we'll just start with Kathy. She has a quick thing. Yeah.
Kathy Baxter, Finance Director. I have a late application for our Rural Public Facilities Awards. We have an application from the Rotary Foundation of Woodland, which we've previously funded under Rural Public Facilities funds. I think it was I think it was in 2023. And this is for Woodland Scott Hill Park and Sports Complex. And they are requested, they've submitted application. They've amended it to be $50,000 for funding for this project. It is, the other project was already funded. This is a completely different item that they're requesting. This is a multi-phase project. They're at the sports complex. And so I'm asking, does the board want to consider this? We have sufficient funds to fund it at $50,000.
I think it's a good park. We put a lot of money into, they put a lot of their own money into it, a lot of work.
Yeah, there's been a lot of contribution from the private world.
Yeah.
Yep, and even for this particular phase, they're receiving some funding from other entities, state, city of Woodland, and their local foundation.
That number on page 2, the 531 that got scratched out, that's left over from what?
So the 531 is if for the full project, the $1.3 million, less their current level of contributions, which add up to 769. That was the difference. But I informed the person submitting the application, we did not have $531,000 in our budget capacity. And so they amended it to $50,000.
How much does that leave us?
We have in that fund what I project for the end of the year with all the cash and the disbursements we're going to make this year. We'll have a little over $1 million, but we also need to leave some capacity because there's a bond that pays off this year, but we need to leave the capacity in there. So we have a little over $1 million even after this $50,000.
I'm okay with this. This was the initial ask, and of course, it doesn't hurt to ask for 10 times, but
Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
And there is a possibility they may come back again next year. So
I would bet you money they will.
well, there's
how
yes,
much money?
probably good possibility. Because like I said, this project is multi-phase. There's several different phases to it. So good to proceed with processing this application and doing a contract.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I have one other item. This morning at the public meeting, under consent agenda item, you approved the change to the contract for Security Solutions Northwest. The attachment to the agenda was the correct amount. The actual wording in the agenda item that you had and they voted on was the wrong amount. And so I'm here to ask you if you would entertain amending the amount to be $240,356.
What did we approve?
You approved, hold on, I'm going to tell you. This morning you approved $232,410.
Oh, that was that mathematics error.
Well, there was an additional change order and I had amended it for that. The amendment made it in, but the wording in your agenda script
Yeah,
was
that
the
was our
previous.
oversight. You had already explained that earlier.
Yes, yeah. So do I need to have you vote, have the minutes show that you're approving 240,356?
I think it probably needs to be in the minutes.
We can,
We probably need to move to reconsider,
next Tuesday.
yeah, to undo the
Yeah.
motion that we passed. And then consider another motion with the amendment.
Sure.
I mean, that's kind of the way you have to do it.
For next
Otherwise, you
Tuesday,
have two approved motions.
for
so-
next
Oh,
Tuesday?
This motion could just be an approval to make a correction, right?
Wait a
It should
minute.
be legitimate.
You want us to do parliamentary procedure? You want to be logical?
Okay, you win.
So,
I think I heard you made make the motion, so.
Okay,
Okay, what? What's on the table now?
You made the motion to approve a new
A new amount,
amount,
A
yeah.
corrected new amount.
Yep.
Sure, I just made that motion.
okay. We have a motion to do a new corrected amount on the security work being done at the Hall of Justice,
at 240,356.
240,356.
This is actually much closer akin to a Scrivener's error.
Yeah. I don't see anybody rushing up, so we'll just call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
thank you.
That fix it for you?
Yes, thank you.
If only LT1 could be that simple.
I know it.
It is, but it requires a couple of sticks of dynamite. You think the gas
I like the
line,
way Darren put it. He goes, how did he said it? But equally, it was done in jest, but very interesting.
and I don't think the gas main's a problem because that'll contribute to the energy required to clear
Yeah.
that path.
Mike Moss, Public Services Director. Good afternoon, Commissioners. First on the agenda today, under Parks, we have LT1 closure. We're asking permission to close LT1, the motorcycle and access to the riverside for the weekend. A lot of years we shut this down for 4th of July if we have high fire danger. A couple of weeks ago, I didn't think that would be a possibility, but with the forecast we have and the neighbors' concerns out there, we'd like to be able to close it down tomorrow at end of business day and then open it up first thing, probably Monday. Just get through the weekend with the firework usage plus 100-degree temperatures in the forecast. We have two gates there, one to access LT1 and a second gate to access the gun range. The gun range would still stay open. It's just the access to LT1 would be closed for the weekend, the long weekend, I should say. You guys are okay with that? We'll give out the code combination lock on the one side to Fire District 6 and also Williams Pipeline for them to have access to that area if needed.
Oh, I'm okay with that with one provision.
Yeah.
That you engage a geotechnical expert to study a solution to the erosion control.
Did you listen to the meeting this morning?
No,
We
I did
were in
not.
rare
Oh,
form
okay.
today.
We'll bring you up to speed.
Did we close it last year?
Yes. Yeah. And we've closed it a couple
For
times.
time, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's for 4th last year, was the year before for sure. Last year, I think it was Labor Day weekend. We shut that down later in the year. So.
Again,
there's-
it was the super hot weather. and
Correct,
the
yes.
Fear
Yeah.
of brush
Yeah, if it
fire.
was probably in the 80s, I wouldn't be having that discussion with you today, but
Do we have, prior to this, in the last 15 years, do we have any incidents where we did have a fire start?
I asked that question to Cal 6 last year, and I don't recall them having many incidents out there. Some smaller stuff. It's mainly some homeless camps or people living or RVing on the river for long periods of time. But I don't think they've had any major fires in that area, no.
Yeah, last year, or the year before, the fire chief of District 5 had a explanation of the conditions required for it to be dangerous, and people were clamoring to us to outlaw fireworks completely in the county, and that chief said, no, that's not necessary. We don't have sufficient conditions.
Yeah.
So I'm suspecting that's also true here, but I'm not opposed to it either.
Yeah, and we might be requesting this even without fireworks. I guess in the years, like I said, last year was Labor Day weekend with no fireworks. It was just a 100-degree weekend with heavy, maybe winds in the area or winds in the region that we decided to close that down. So just a combination with fireworks and the hot weather. But without fireworks, we'd probably still be here today. We usually get the request for a couple of neighbors ahead of time. I know that's not the main reason why, but with the gun range there and all the improvements made by the sheriff's office out there, might be able to protect some of our assets out there at the same time.
How would you handle if, for some reason, the forecast were sufficiently in error that it would have been okay July 5th, 6th, and 7th? You'd go ahead and open it?
We would, yeah. I think it's an extended period of time. If it's a day or two, we wouldn't worry about. We can turn into 4 or 5 days of 90-degree plus. That's when we kind of concerned at that area. And we don't like closing because we know how popular of area that is out there, especially for mainly the motorcycle and side-by-side riders out there, or the ATVs.
Yeah, we're going to catch an earful on this, I'm sure.
We usually get press releases out. We'll get it out later today. Put the signs up, barricade up, just explain the reasons why because of high fire danger. In the years past, we haven't received a lot of phone calls to the office, so hopefully you guys don't either.
They want to see fireworks go down to Lions Park there. That's,
Correct, exactly.
it's
yeah.
like unofficial fireworks for Castle Rock.
And for some reason, the forecast changed, or Sunday looks like to be 75 degrees instead of what they're forecasting. We'll make sure we get staff out there ahead of time, open it up for the weekend. Thank you.
Okay, Savannah Clement, Public Services. I wanted to give a Parks property update. So as the board's probably well aware, we go through the RCO office, so Recreation Conservation Office of Washington State, to acquire a lot of our grant fundings for parks. And then on the other side of it, for just any kind of upgrades that we're wanting to do for recreation or conservation purposes. So in the 70s, we acquired some federal grant funding through RCO for Riverside Park. Unfortunately, a previous employee about a decade ago, maybe less, had sold a couple properties that were acquired through these federal grant fundings in the 70s. We weren't aware of it. I don't believe the county was aware of it. But Recreation and Conservation brought it to our attention, actually, I think back when Axel was here. So he was kind of working on that with our Parks Department. It fell off the radar a little bit when Axel left, and it's been brought up again because we're continuing to apply for these funds, and they're kind of saying, wait a second, you sold these properties, that wasn't allowed. So we've been working internally on what we can do to rectify this situation. Clearly, we can't absorb those properties back in, but the stipulations are 2 options. One, we can expand a current park. Actually 3, the third one's the worst one. I'll list that one next. The second one is paying back RCO for those properties at current market value, which is the bad one, which will be difficult. And then the third one is to actually purchase or acquire property and or create a new park in the county. So we're looking at our current county-owned properties that exist that would be good park locations. We're kind of just working through this right now as a department, but we wanted to bring it to the board's attention because we're going to continue to probably come back and seek direction and or approval on some of these items. The park created cannot currently be on the park's comprehensive plan. It has to be truly a new park. We do know, based off of some of our previous conversations with the board and Alyssa, that we don't have a lot of park presence in South County. So looking in the Kalama Woodlands areas, woodland areas, and then also again, looking at properties that we already own. I believe that Coweeman Park is the furthest south park that we actually like own and maintain. So that's what we're working on internally. It's not the best of news, but the other option again is to expand our current park properties. So we're looking at that too. Harry Gardner Park, if there is an ability to expand further on Riverside. And so we're just kind of looking at that internally, and we'll come back to the board, give you guys more information as we get it.
Where were the original parcels?
I don't have a map, but it's south of the park, and it's a development that butts up right
South of.
South of
south of Riverside
Riverside.
Park.
Pretty much where the shop's at Riverside Park. There's a cul-de-sac that
Yes.
comes in,
Mhm.
not from the park side, but south of there. And there's, I believe, 3 lots?
There's
Three lots that were sold
And we sold those lots not that long ago.
within the last decade.
within the
yeah.
last decade, yeah. 2016, so 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And-
And we made money off of those lots that we sold.
Yeah.
Apparently not enough.
And we're
Apparently not
paying for it.
enough.
No,
Yeah.
They were purchased with RCO funds?
correct.
Back in the 70s, yes.
Yeah, that was,
That would have been before RCO though. That was when you were involved, right?
Well, I was the decade of the nineties. It was
Oh.
IAC, and that was the rule
IAC.
back then. If you got money from them and you wanted to do it, you had to replace it with like kind.
Mhm.
Yep,
because
that's exactly,
Public money.
yep.
Correct.
And so, and it sounds like if you want to current value, I believe it also includes improvements. So I believe 2 of those lots have houses on them. So improvements and today's dollar value would be, well over $1 million. So the easiest thing for us is to look for a park
So
somewhere else.
Savannah, you mentioned that we don't have any parks in the Lewis River Valley.
Improve.
Improved park areas.
Right. Except the most extensive park and recreation system is in the Lewis River Valley. It's just operated by Pacific Corp. That
Right.
doesn't mean we're ignoring recreation in that area.
No, I don't disagree. It's,
Tell me a park that we own west of Longview.
we did own Willow
Abernathy, in any of
Grove.
those, in any of those
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah, we gave up Willow Grove and County Line parks
Mm-hmm.
that were in West Longview.
We have the boat ramp
Yeah.
at the slough, but that's not very improved. You're correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to find land that we currently own, look at, textile properties, things that we have in possession that may turn into a good park, just to help keep the costs down. We unfortunately, like Savannah said, we get a lot of dollars through RCO grants. And this was brought up a few years back, but this last week, they noticed again that we haven't made any movement in that
Mhm.
area. And hopefully, yeah, we could add on to an existing park.
Yeah, you can expand a current park.
And so we're looking at our current parks, then see if there's any, land close by where you can expand
Got
into.
anything- You got any room in Hog Island or anything?
That's gonna be challenging
I
to the
don't know.
south, but may possibly to the north.
And Hog Island's the tricky one because DNR owns
What kind
it.
of improvements are looking for? You
Yeah.
talked about a little bridge over.
That's questionable. but That's what we're asking RCO for.
Mhm.
What dollar amounts
Yeah.
does make an improvement? Is it a, $50,000
Yeah,
improvement, or are they looking at something more equal to what we gave up?
I got you.
Yeah,
We
so
haven't got answers to that question
Right.
quite yet.
we just have those pretty generic parameters of our options. And then we just wanted to give the board a heads up. We're not asking for direction yet, just because we don't have all of the information, but I didn't want to just, throw it at you.
So we're probably looking at what, $750,000 or more for those parcels that we sold.
More.
Yeah. That's if we were to just pay them back. Now, if we said, no, we can't expand a park, no, we're not buying or improving another park, we would have to pay them that fair market value with improvements. So we're still trying to iron out the questions on, okay, so if we have this piece of land and we want to put a play structure on there that's 130,000, we're creating a new park, we're improving it, is that sufficient? So that's what we're coming back with them on our questions. They had a lot of turnover there, so the people we were working with when Axel was kind of managing it, are no longer there or not in those roles. So one of our previous grant managers is now currently in this role. So she's very familiar with our employees and the county park system. So we're trying to work with her now on trying to get a lot of these answers.
Who is it by chance?
Ashley,
Oh, I knew a Marguerite, and I think she's still up there. You know, they have the Thurston County ORV Park, and then Grays Harbor took it over, and then it went to private enterprise. That was all built with IEC funds, and now that's been sold, and it's not an off-road park anymore. And I don't know what all the details, but usually, you know, you may wonder if there's a loophole that they got out of. If they allowed that park to sell without replacing it with something, yeah, that's up by, you know, on the highway between Alma and Olympia there.
well, it's always good to have examples to bring to them of other.
Or we can call that county also and see what
Mhm.
I think it actually sits in Grays.
Grays.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was called Thurston County ORV for a long time, Saddleman ORV Park. It was,
Okay.
So do you know,
Tell them if they match that amount, we'll contribute money towards an overpass for the bicycle trail.
so do you know what the metric is for the substitution? Are we doing acres? Are we doing dollars?
You know,
I don't think they ever defined
Mm-mm.
that. We asked that question because we only gave up 3 lots, not
not
yeah,
even,
maybe 1 acre total in land.
So
So-
when you say 750K or more, you're including the improvements on the property.
That's-
but
Correct.
That seems like an idiotic comparison.
We don't disagree with that, yeah. That's what they came back with to
Mhm.
us though, saying not just the lot value sold back in 2016, but also the improvements to date on those lots. So, and 2 of them have houses. That's why we're thinking it's close to maybe $1 million today's market. $400,000 or $500,000 per house.
you know, Commissioner Weber said something, and it's IEC, the boardwalk down in Long Beach was paid by IEC. I sat on it at the time when they did that, and some trail work through the rainforest. There's different things other than just parks, so I wonder if you can mitigate it by doing other things too, other than just parks.
Yeah, well, those are the 3 options that they gave us, and
Yeah.
I don't know how much we pushed back as a team other than ask questions. So we'll maybe ask for some different ways around this and reach out to Grays Harbor. Grays.
Maybe we can trade it for cell number 11 and that work?
Yeah, make LP one a park.
we thought it already is. We thought about that.
Yeah, anything mentioned in the comp plan is
Anything-
not eligible for improvement.
So another option might be the Darcy Mitchum option on LT2, putting
I-
improvements there for
Yeah,
for
I brought that up
boaters.
too.
LT2 is a kind of across
It is.
the river from the Rock Creek blowout. And it was a storage area, and we got it. And we turned it over to the Conservation District to manage. But we got it from the Department of Transportation on condition that it remain available for public access, which it is sort of, if you know about it, because there's no land route to it. It's only by boat. only.
Right. We do have.
There are
some
no amenities.
easements. You're correct.
So that might be an option. Technically, we own the land,
Correct.
and the Conservation District is using a portion of it. I don't think they've used the whole thing, but they've done some testing on what kind of plants grow on that sediment.
So I'm still a little uncertain because the comparison of 750 or $1 million, you could buy a lot of acreage in places for a lot less than that.
Mm.
Would that be acceptable? And I don't know whether I've heard that answer. or
We,
not.
we assume it's going to be acceptable. That, we figured that option, the 750 to 1 million is the worst option we have on the table.
Correct.
We're hoping that we'd be able to go back to them and say, hey, we found this property, it's worth such and such, $100,000. We're going to make $100,000 in improvements with playground equipment or a pit
Bathroom.
toilet or whatever it may be. And would that satisfy their requirements? They were pretty vague when they came back to us. They just said, these are your three options. And we knew the worst one was paying it back in today's dollars value. So that was the highest dollar one, the 750 to 1 million. That's just our estimate.
And I think that's to incentivize us as a county to continue the parks investment and creating parks that live in perpetuity, under this RCO. So they make that the worst option, on purpose. I think that it just forces entities like us to just invest in more parks at a cheaper.
So
low
we've
cost.
been in this condition for
Since 2016-ish.
8 years.
Yeah.
So what prevents it from going on for another 8 years? Just the gathering, you won't get any more RCO grants.
Correct.
Yeah.
So are we anticipating picking up 1 million in RCO grants over the next 8 years?
Mhm. We currently apply for significant grants, mainly for parks. We have one for 1 million and that we've applied for actually a month ago. And then we have all of our gun range grants that are through RCO, and we have 2 going through them right now. And I think that's about 300-ish thousand.
We've got those grants now.
We haven't been awarded the $1 million one yet, but we have the $300,000 one going currently.
And it's on reimbursements, so we haven't been paid back on the second grant for the gun range because we just started work out there. So I don't know if they'd hold up any of that funding, even though it's been awarded. Can't answer that question, Commissioner.
Yeah.
It's
not
challenging. I
happy
wasn't
about this.
super excited when we got this. Actually, we heard about it a few years back and kept on moving forward with RCO and got some grants. And then I don't know if a change in staff or something, but it just jumped back on their radar last week.
Mhm.
So
Well, I would think taking advantage of that aquatic access park on LT2 might be the simplest. As long as you can get a key to the gate.
I
to get
I
the
had
equipment-
brought
To bring the equipment in, because
that up when we met last week with Alyssa, and I brought up LT2, and I can't remember what she said, but I recall her shooting it down. But I will find out more now that you brought it up again as to why. I can't recall why she said it. Maybe it was a landlocked reason or easements, I'm not sure, but I will find out.
So I was actually not in jest when I talked about a geotechnical investigation for a solution to LT1. We did get a recommendation or a list of suggestions from the Conservation District
Oh,
with absolutely no commitment on their part to do anything about it. It's in our ball, it's in our court.
Okay.
And it's a public service issue. I know you kind of gave it to the commissioner's office. So I'm saying, let's send it back to the people who have the,
Yeah.
the contacts with people who can do geotechnical studies.
So did Darren,
did he?
did he give you guys a report today then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
you might want to look it over. We talked this morning about putting out an RFP or something for somebody to do some work and just give us some idea. Because Darren talks a lot about the slate bottom, but he said it'd take a geological survey to say what they could do down on that thing and different things.
So I'd hate for us to go through all of the cost of replacing the road that we think we're going to have to
Mhm.
if the erosion is just going to continue to eat away and it'll eventually get into private property and all that stuff. Perhaps saving the road can lead to a more comprehensive solution.
We'll grab that report and take it to Susan and the engineers and see what kind of contacts we have and move forward.
Yeah.
Give you a report back. Was he able to give it to you in person, the report, some today, or was it actually just a
Is that
Printed,
correct?
printed document.
Okay, okay, thanks.
I should be able to email it to you in a moment.
Kelly, or maybe, we'll ask Kelly to send it over to you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Or maybe Commissioner's gonna give you one.
We should probably make sure they get sent. He gets sent a copy of it.
Okay.
Lumen.
All right. So last week we met with the board on some trials and tribulations we were having with one of our franchisees, which is Lumen, on one of our major projects that has a short fish window. And so we did reach out to David Hodges, the tribe and others, developed some letters, sent those over. And then a couple of our legislative representatives, one primarily that I saw, did reach out to them directly as a lobbyist for Glusen-Camp Perez, asking for some action. We actually received some communication from them this morning. So that was great. So I think it's moving forward in the right direction with a little push. So just wanted to give you guys an update that that's working out. I think, fingers crossed, in the good direction. So that's all I have on that one. And
Last night in Woodland, when you were talking about exit 21, they were going through all the steps, and one of the steps was they'd have to work with all the providers that have utilities and everything out there, and I almost said, you got Lumen?
yeah,
They
do you have a
probably do.
contact?
They probably do.
I'm sure, yeah. So I'm just really hoping with the short time frame that we have to work in that area that they get on it, so. Okay, anything else from Public Works before I go to maintenance? We're good? Okay. I know Risk was able to give a pretty comprehensive update yesterday morning about air quality and some of the remediation they've been doing, testing, et cetera. I wanted to give the board, and I think you guys have the handout, just current costs to date. These are all estimates. A lot of the invoices have come and they haven't been processed yet. So I just wanted to let you know that essentially the approximate cost to date is about $21,200. So that's invoices that we have received and will be paying. And then unfortunately, I didn't have super great costs for the future anticipated remediation because we're still working on getting quotes. So we just wanted to let the board kind of know what we've already done cost-wise and then what we'll be doing moving forward. We're still seeking, multiple bids, so it's not like we're waiving any kind of purchasing policy. So it is taking a little bit longer on some of these items, like duct cleaning, for example.
On item number 4, the rooftop HVAC remediation,
Yes,
are we down there yet?
Go ahead.
sure.
Yeah, we re-roofed the HOJ not that long ago, and that included all kinds of things.
Yes.
How do we happen to be in this condition now?
So I actually toured that today for the first time. It's an add-on over the overhang. There's
And that's an area we did not touch?
correct. It actually is an enclosed structure. And it has all the old jail HVAC equipment there that has been decommissioned, and has been used since
Early 2000s.
2006, I believe, when the jail got built and moved over. And it's a wall, it's about 3,000 square feet of nothing but ductwork and old machinery up there. And so that's where they had one test done and found some higher levels in that area.
Do we
It-
use the HVAC?
Zero.
No.
So we're not talking about doing anything but
No, I would,
patching up holes?
correct, exactly right. Patching up holes. And then I took pictures today where a lot of the water may start from that location that goes down maybe in the stairwells. There's a gutter system that's on top of that, they call it the penthouse roof, that actually doesn't go outside the buildings like we talked before. It actually comes inside. That's where it actually starts coming inside. And then it doesn't just go straight down from inside. It actually flows across the floor on pipes and then down. So I think that might be some of our areas that we might have some issues at.
Well, it used to operate the fountain was kind of an automatic system, right? Funneled out and then it got plugged up.
The front fountain.
So you go to the auto parts store and you buy that stop leak, the
Oh,
stop.
yeah,
Mhm.
stop leak, yeah,
Yeah, and put that in the gutters.
yeah.
Flex tape.
We actually talked about if we can't find exactly where this is, the water intrusion is on that north stairwell, it looks like it's fairly easy piping where we might just run it on the exterior of the building since it's no longer a jail and just completely bypass those internal pipes in that structure.
Nobody's gonna be climbing down it now.
No, no.
Right.
But we even talked about even, there's so much metal in there from all that ductwork that's not getting used. It might be worthwhile just to get it all out and scrap it. But
As long as we're talking about leaks, how about the leak that we used to have here? That's all taken
Yeah.
care of?
Mhm.
we just,
Don't see any marks on the ceiling any longer.
we just paint it every other week when
Yeah,
we're not here.
Mike was in this morning before he got here.
Bailey was telling me something interesting before we got started. She was over at Risk with the summer help and going through the files of stuff or whatever. And here was a folder from 1997 that said odors or HOJ air quality report.
We had one in 2010 too. So this is probably the third one since then.
Ductwork cleaning's been on the agenda for a while. They've asked for a few years over there. We did get our third bid in this morning, so the low bid is around $25,000. The other one are quite a bit higher than that. So we'll probably move forward with that in the next week or two with the contract.
So
Any-
I've been hearing a lot about the latest research on the importance of air exchange. And that typically the standard is 3 times an hour. And they said to really stop the spread of infectious diseases, you need it much higher than that. For a relatively low cost to increase the circulation, the health results are much, much better. And I don't know if the research that you guys have been doing has been looking at that standard in order to improve the air quality.
Yeah, we saw the email come out this morning, so we're reaching out to our vendor we're currently they're using and seeing what their standards are at. I have no idea what the current standards are for any of our buildings though.
So I know that our health officer did admit that indoor air quality is not his area of expertise, but we might ask him to get us the answers on what it should be. Because that's a sort of, I mean, that building is a major source of, employment.
Mhm.
You're
And,
talking just about the HOJ? Because once you open that Pandora's box, we have a lot of buildings.
it's the exchange, the air exchange.
No, I understand that, but we've been with that. Other than this incident, you were talking about spreading of the disease. Once you open that Pandora's box, we'll have to rebuild everything.
Shouldn't have to rebuild it. It's a matter of
Well, it's the,
changing the timing. I mean,
it's probably considerably more complex than that. And the ducting in the older buildings is one of the more serious problems. That's why we're cleaning it.
I can't even imagine how many yards of ducting are over in the
Yeah.
Hall of Justice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And access, yeah, that'll be done on weeknights and weekends, of
Mhm.
course. Yeah. We did the Public Works duct cleaning 3 or 4 years ago
Mhm.
and did it over a couple weekends.
Could you tell the difference?
That's the problem with a lot of these things.
Yeah.
And when
Well,
you
I'm
can't
sure-
tell the
I'm-
problem,
yeah.
it's too late.
yeah, we've had the complaints since then.
No, we haven't.
So on a new topic, OPD,
Yeah, that's actually at our bottom bullet point there, annex building update. The space over there, we did get the letter to COG today. It was stuck unfortunately in legal for a little bit. I know they were announced or informed last week. I did call COG on Friday to tell them in person also that they were going to be moving out at the end of the year. They we're actually meeting over there in next Tuesday, July 9th, to walk through their structure. They're looking at possibly leaving a few things behind, some cubicles and office space, and maybe we can negotiate a price for leaving some of the stuff in place for us, which might make it easier move for OPD to go there. So yeah, so we're going to start that process, work with Ian and his team, exactly what their needs are for the Compass, the first floor space that's open, and also the old maintenance space there and start getting those areas ramped up for their move over Friday, the third or fourth quarter of this year.
Once again, that saves us roughly 50 grand a year.
Yes, correct.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
Well, I was trying to be nice and I was at a board meeting for COG and I said, "I'm sorry,
No.
we had to take this step." And he said, "What are you talking about?"
that's my
I had
fault.
assumed you'd
No,
notified
we
him.
told you guys June 30th because we wanted it out by then. Unfortunately, like I said, the letter did not get out of legal and I should have just called and told them that a letter was coming. I had till July 3rd to actually get the notice there. And when I heard that your presence was there, I instantly called over there. So I apologize. I put you in that spot. I should have told you guys ahead of time it was coming out June 30th, but we're hopeful it was getting done late last week. So I do apologize.
I was not very popular that,
I-
that meeting.
Was it on purpose?
You should have worn your Mike Moss name tag instead.
Well, when I explained how much we were paying, they said, over at the other place, they said, "Oh."
Yeah, when I got
They
a chance to
understood, yeah.
visit with them on Friday, they said, yeah, we understand it's a complete business decision that you had to do what you had to do. And that makes the most sense for them too. So, and they said they, at least they initially told me they've been looking for a while for more space elsewhere. So I don't think it was and we've done some tours through that structure. So I don't think it was a big shock to them that they were getting displaced.
Okay.
So once again, I apologize, Dennis. Last thing we had on here was HOJ HVAC project, and I'll let Savannah give you a quick update.
Yeah, so this is just a heads up. So next week on July 10th, sorry, not 11th, we are actually going to have a representative from Millig here at our 1:30 meeting to go over like the next steps and phases of the project and where we're at. And just so you guys know, the next step is an investment grade audit, which has several components, but just high level, what it will do is we'll produce a conceptual design that will only be done once we are done receiving and exchanging feedback on what we would like to see. So some of the suggestions I've heard from the board, are looking at maybe getting the jail HVAC up and running for future growth, or looking at the air exchange in that building and making sure we're meeting certain criteria for health and safety. So that's the opportunity that we can kind of give them that feedback and what we want it to look like. In this stage, they'll also do a life cycle cost analysis. So the whole point of an energy ESCO company is to ensure that whatever they're installing per their contract with Department of Enterprise Services will pay for itself within that life cycle. So this is the document that they're going to show the board and the community that this is how we'll get there. And then the second stage is a schematic design of 60% plans. They'll also develop a product manual for us so that we hopefully in the future, when none of us are here, won't be in a position where we don't know what equipment we have, where it runs and how it operates. And then another component, which is the one I'll leave with, is the design and development with energy services. It's actually the construction proposal. So this investment grade audit will essentially produce all of that for the board and ensure that we want to move forward with construction. So Lauren, who is Millig's vice president, will be here next Wednesday to help present. And then
What's the name of the company again?
Millig, M-I-L-I-G.
Okay.
And they are an ESCO, so energy services company in Washington.
And do you know how is it different from the last energy review that we did that promised us all kinds of tremendous savings? And is that Siemens?
Yeah, I think that was done differently in the fact that this encompasses the full project. That was more of a lighting. I
don't know which one.
don't think the Geo was involved with that one. Was it just the lighting was that Mr. Ron Junker was in putting that one together years ago
I
with
think so.
maintenance? Unfortunately for us with this project as a whole, I mean, this is a requirement from either DES or
It's a requirement of an ESCO project, is this investment grade audit prior to any construction. It's to ensure that the project will produce enough energy savings over time in the long run to produce, to pay for itself over the life cycle cost.
But we'd probably be doing this project without all those savings because the HVAC system at HOJ is terrible.
Yeah.
Because being in maintenance more and more the last 2 months than I've been originally, being with the crews daily in the morning. And the first thing we talked about today, we actually talked for about a full hour, is how are we going to maintain cooling in that structure in the next 5 days? And that system is impossible to maintain. Even with new chillers, the way that piping and the ventilation and the piping and ductwork, it works in that structure, it's so hard to work with. So if they came back and said, this doesn't get paid back for 10 or 20 or 30 years down the road, we still have to spend millions of dollars in that structure to get this HVAC up and running. If we're going to keep that, if we're going to keep it for the next 10 years, we have to do something. If we're going to try to resell that structure, if we buy new, we're going to have to do something. So when I hear energy audit, it kind of says, no, it's going to get all your return. To me, that's great if you had that chance, if we're going to save some, PUD costs down the road. At the same point, we have to get that structure up and running because it's not currently running well. We're trying to chill them out. I warned them, we warned HOJ yesterday on a conference call, or Monday, I guess that was just yesterday, that they might have to wear sweaters in the morning because we're going to try to chill them out first thing in the morning and keep that thing running cold all night long, because when it's going to be 95 or 97 on Friday, that building, if we don't do anything, will be 85, and we'll have people not wanting to get to work today or wanting to leave early that day.
Yeah, that conceptual design piece is just a component of this proposal itself. We'll get engineered plans. I mean, it consists of a lot more than just that. It's just that's what they start with.
My memory is that that one
I agree.
program
previous
never
one.
did pay
No.
off. We borrowed money and we had to
We-
end
yeah.
up paying it.
You borrow money and
It
pay
wasn't
back.
a wise decision.
What,
Yeah.
was it Siemens?
No.
No.
They went to each of the county buildings and replaced bulbs and fixtures and we're gonna,
Valves. and-
yeah, ballast, all that fun stuff. Yeah. Even I think it was right after we started or over at the event center in a brand new building, we're changing out ballast and fixtures. So
How much is this audit or whatever?
to,
So it's 4 to 5% of the total estimated project cost. So we anticipate, I think it's around 280,000. We originally came to the board with it.
Whoa, you're going too fast for
Okay.
my feeble mind. 200,000 represents 4% of the total cost, you're saying?
Correct, between 4 and 5 is what we're estimating. Because without doing this piece, it's really hard to grasp the total
No, I
project
understand
cost.
that.
Okay.
I'm just trying to crank the numbers in my head.
yeah, well, last year in budget cycle, we came with a couple of options like options A, B, and C on our 5-year capital plan for maintenance. And one of those line items was like, we spend $1 million a year on trying to keep that system going, or do we spend, $6, $7, $8 million a year and get a whole new system? And that's the direction we got. So this is part of that. The first step of
Mhm.
that larger project is to get this in place. And we just can't jump to getting that in place. That's why I said the energy audit kind of sounds scary, because it's going to sound $200,000 to get an energy audit. They're going to come out of this. Energy audit is just a piece of it. We're going to get a full set of plans out of it saying, this is what you should do. This is how you should build your HVAC system at the Hall of Justice when it's all said and done.
Right, that's part of the problem, having too many things were conflated.
Yeah.
So the initial part, without knowing the energy balance, you might say, you're not going to be able to decide how big the project is. So when you tell me it's 4 or 5% of the big project, you're already assuming a lot. And I'm
Yeah,
not sure
we're
that's a
assuming
fair
$6 to
thing.
$8 million total in that project.
And we asked for 8 to 9 originally. So it's actually
That's the USDA. person
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we're looking at a
Correct.
lot of different funding sources to pay for this,
Mhm.
So you're
not
doing
county.
this because you really need that in order to get access into. the-
Exactly right. Yeah, it's a stepping stone.
This is going to be, well, just the audit part is how much?
It's rolled into the entire contract. So we actually will just pay for it when we pay the construction contract, but it's the 4 to 5% of the total cost. Is that your question? How much of it?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I'm still struggling with, if you're going to do the audit, you need that information, the data in order to develop a plan. You need the plans in order to know how much it's going to cost you.
Mhm.
Correct.
So telling me it's 4% of a number that is dependent on the
Yeah.
number that is.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
they said between 4 and 5 they don't know until, you're correct, until this is complete and they work everything out with us.
They're working off
Wait,
an
but we're-
estimate.
But we're estimating about a $10 million fix.
That's what we've asked for, 8 to 10, or excuse me, 8 to 9,
We're hoping to come
So-
in, of course,
lower.
lower than that. Initial numbers we've seen so far are not, are
Are
lower
lower.
than that, quite a
Yeah,
bit
so-
lower.
So as we proceed with this, we'll get some information, some data, some
Mhm.
preliminary design
Mhm.
by the end of the year?
Well, we hope to have this one done by hopefully the end of August. This will produce that.
Okay, and then the USDA can say yes or no, and if it says no, who pays?
So the USDA funding is, they're looking at funding us in two separate items. This is one item that's through grant funding. I believe what you're speaking on is what we're engaging in with our on-call architect, which is the space feasibility study. What you just mentioned kind of triggered that. I think that's what we're waiting for USDA to say, yes, we will provide you loans, low interest loans for either an HOJ renovation, a lease option, or purchase and build new. So there are two different projects that are that USDA is involved with us.
But they would need this information for either one of those.
I believe that this information here would be very beneficial for our grant project with them, yes. I don't know that it's required though, so I don't want to say that it is without knowing 100%.
Are you as confused as I am?
Well, actually, clarifying that it's a $10 million project makes it pretty clear. That's how
Except
you
I
get
don't
to-
even know what's in the 10 million, because now it's not just HVAC, it's redesigning inside, or just,
No, it's
No.
HVAC, ceiling tiles and fire panels.
Correct.
it's not moving walls.
No, it's
or
not.
No,
offices or
Nope.
anything.
no, 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 no.
Nope.
Nope, HVAC, primarily HVAC focused. And as Mike spoke to, it was in our capital 5-year plan that we had pre-approval for a couple different times. That's what this HVAC project is.
Okay, so it's possible that we'll go downstream and we'll still end up having to pay a couple of $100,000 and not have anything to show for it other than some.
Well, I think
some
what
paper.
we have a
That is
couple hundred
possible.
$1,000 plan, initially the budget was approved to get it done, but maybe the numbers state differently, or we may decide as a group, say, we don't like your plan. At that point there, yeah, we're going to eat a couple $100,000. If they say, if we all agree, no, that what you put together is the best for the HVAC system for them, and then we can use that plan to maybe help get some of our funding sources on board, it could be a catalyst for us to get part of that $6, $7, $8, $9 million paid for by other agencies. But unfortunately for us, we're kind of stuck because, no matter if we're looking at trying to get money for a relocation or get money for a remodel there, a lot of our people are saying you need to do this first step.
Yeah.
And that's what's challenging for us because the energy audit's attached to that along with the planning and putting the plans
And
together,
engineering.
and it's a couple $100,000, and it's tough.
And the remodel, when you use the word remodel, it's just from a mechanical HVAC.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, or a relocation, I probably should have said, yes.
And the relocation,
That'd be the more of the USDA and other grants we're looking for if we're going to try to move to a whole new location out there. But they said
Separate.
they won't look at that. Do we also do a,
wait, you're still going too fast. You're saying one possibility is abandoning the Hall of Justice.
yes,
Mhm.
The relocation means the cost to move, or the cost to move and the cost for the building or the facility to
You
go
said
into?
lease or move or
The-
new construction.
yeah.
right?
The three options for the feasibility study that we're working with the architects, completely separate from this project, is considering those three options. And that's based off of the board's feedback to us.
So they're kind of working hand in hand and they're kind of using the same information going forward, but
Yeah.
Two separate
it's two
projects.
separate
So we got,
projects.
for the HVAC, you came to us, was a capital thing. We
Mhm.
said, instead of band-aiding it, we'll fix it. Or is the direction we gave you.
Correct.
And it's 8 to 9 million. And at that time, it was something we were willing to spend.
Yes,
Mhm.
But with this, if you do this energy audit, you have a document that says I can go out and maybe get some grant funds to help with this money we've already said we were willing to spend.
Correct.
Correct.
And the other thing we got going is then I met with them and said, can you help
Yes.
us with either a fix of the building or a new building? So you got two
Yes.
Two
different
things going on.
things going on.
So this is only speaking to HVAC.
Were we willing to spend up to 10 million to fix the HVAC in that building? I don't recall that.
You and I are.
Well, I know it was on their capital thing and
Mhm.
that was the one
Yeah.
we suggested. I don't know it was all in 1 year. I think it was.
It
kind of
wasn't. It
spread
was
out.
It's spread
correct.
out.
It's spread out. And then also, if you guys recall, and I don't want to muddy the waters, but we have $1 million of ARPA money that's dedicated to it, potentially more if there's any direct qualification left. And then we have congressional applications, 3 different congressional applications to help fund it. We have USDA funding that we're seeking through federal government. So we have, and then we have a Washington Association of Counties funding that we're looking to secure. So we'll have hopefully a considerable amount of grant funding attached that will help pay for this.
I
Yeah, we're trying to pay-
remember a number from maybe around the Meng report or something like that. It was
Yeah.
several tens of millions to bring the Hall of Justice into something people thought would be suitable to a proper courthouse.
Yes.
And anyhow.
Yeah, no, it's challenging.
daunting.
We had these discussions internally and to you guys. It's hard to say let's spend $6 to $7, $8 million on a structure that this is just for the heating cooling side when the rest of the structure is challenging from ADA, from networking to communications in that structure. But, we know we're going to be there for either 5, 10 years or next 20 or 30 years, no matter what. Even if we decide to move, we're going to be there for at least 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember back, but I think that was kind of the kicker because we just spent 900,000
Thousand.
on auxiliary equipment to keep it cool.
Mhm.
So if we're gonna replace it, why don't we spend that million a year, whatever, to just get it all
Fixed.
completed?
Correct.
I know it wasn't all in 1 year that we had 8, 9 million, but it was over a period of time.
Right.
Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow when it's that big of a dollar amount. Yeah.
Well,
But
it is a big amount. But a totally new Hall of Justice is gonna be a heck of a lot more than that.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
It'll be 100 million
Yeah.
plus.
And we're still, and that's what Savannah talked, and Commissioner Dahl, we're going down both paths, but we're not just looking at one path. We're trying to do them both at the same time. So that's why it gets Commissioner Martinson kind of confusing because we have so much information that's
going
getting
on.
shared between those two paths. But we're looking at every dollar possible out there per grant to help pay for this.
Well, our hope is the energy audit will indicate we can't stay where we're at. That'll give the lease option a better chance. Right?
There are all kinds of problems there and, I don't know what I'm hoping for. Just a solution.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking about this for a better
Mhm.
part of 8 years
Yeah.
now. And, we finally got the OPD, I think, on a proper track and that's taken us 3 years.
Taking us
Yeah.
6 to 9 months.
No more
Yeah,
than that,
just
about
with
at
us.
least a year
At
from
least
the
a year.
last contract. So yeah,
As
probably a year,
yeah.
two.
But I remember discussions.
Yeah,
going way
long
back.
before then.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. No, yeah, this
I
can is
think-
going to kick for a long time. I think we need it. And that's why I want to give you guys as much information as we possibly can so we can make that decision of what we're going to do to that structure.
And that's next Wednesday. We'll be back with a full presentation.
I think the 4th meeting I had as a newly elected commissioner was somebody at the Hall of Justice saying, you've got to do something about this building. It's intolerable. So, yeah, it's a age-old building.
And maybe there'll be this staff that actually could get a chance to make that call and move it forward.
Bailey, can we strike that? No.
I'm gonna make a note of that because I'm gonna blame you for all
Exactly.
things over there.
Exactly. I did in our research found some estimates of replacing the Hall of Justice. They were back from 2002. And at that time, it was 14 million-ish to replace it. So,
Commissioner Weber's 4th meeting, they told
Yeah.
me about this building.
so.
You
I
know,
hope-
I
it's
did promise
interesting.
that we'd look into it, and we've got that. So,
This is probably for well after my time, but a lesson from the 911 experience was they were in a pretty limited area. They had maybe what, 4,000 square feet, maybe
Yeah.
not that much.
Yeah.
And then they got dollar signs in their eyes and they got a new building and all kinds of stuff. And that building went, I think they spent over 13 million.
Over 2 years it took too, long time.
Yeah, and there, yeah, so, I don't know what my point is, except that we're in trouble.
Well, most of the people who started that project are no longer employed by the system.
Let's hope that's
Oh.
They haven't
not
all
the
been
case.
fired, they've all retired.
Retired, yeah.
Yes,
Got
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
The PM of that project would be very instructive if people were interested.
I had a boss that, my CEO at one point in time, he said the two things that get CEOs fired, one of them is new buildings.
Oof.
Is what?
New buildings is
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like elected. I think that the jail get people
Mhm. And
elected or
good,
not
yeah.
elected back in the day.
No,
There
There was
were-
controversy.
Was it?
It actually led to complications at the landfill.
Hmm.
That was the financing package.
Oh, gotcha.
That led to the governance committee.
Okay.
That very useful tool for you.
Thank you.
We blame that on George.
So
it-
sorry to confuse you.
yeah,
We'll hopefully clear it up a little bit better next week, but we're still going down these two paths, trying to figure out the best for current and best for long-term at HOJ, and hopefully get some decisions from us and from you guys in the next couple budget cycles so we can get this thing accomplished. Maybe not you two as much, but
That he spurred me on a question because I read through the governance committee when it was formed and why it was formed and stuff. And since we own it now, before we didn't own it, and they basically, if I remember it right, everybody got together and they kind of said, county, you do the bidding for us and on the rates and stuff. So I don't even know why we have it anymore.
that's a great question.
Okay.
That question that we've asked our
Attorneys.
attorney.
It may be a different question in the future.
Correct. It's not set up and used the way it was set up
The way it was set
originally.
up is no longer the way it is.
Correct.
So I don't know what it's,
Yeah.
and all the money that they put into it, I understand it's been.
Yeah.
We don't owe anybody anything, they don't owe us anything.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just handcuffs us on trying to raise rates or change rates of the structures.
It's like something that's been in place and nobody's willing to let go.
Correct.
Just my 2 cents.
So if it's okay with the board, what I'll do next Wednesday, if you're okay with it and we have enough time, is kind of just do a high-level timeline of this project. So hopefully it'll clarify a couple items. My intent today was just to give the board a heads up, let you know it's coming, and then hopefully heed any questions, but I didn't want to add to the confusion, so I apologize. So what we'll try to do next week is really go through our presentation, which will be probably the same one we did, gosh, about a year ago or less, 6 months ago, just to kind of a refresher, because it has been a while. So-
Did you say Millig was gonna be?
Millig
Millig
will
will be
be
on
here,
site.
yes. And Lauren is again, she's a VP and she's the one that's been working directly with us and she's a great resource.
Done a lot of buildings. I know they did Lewis
Yeah,
County.
we toured Lewis County and their jail and same situation, similar situation, older building, upgraded to a newer system for similar reasons as to what we have going on. So,
And because it's a USDA, do we have to plant cotton or corn or anything, or?
I didn't hear that.
USDA.
Okay. So anyways, we'll do that next Wednesday.
Just
If
be
it's
glad it's
ADA,
located in Kelso.
if it's USDA, they are big on ADA requirements.
Yeah, so yeah, ADA and what they call it, BABA or Buy America, Build America requirements. So there's a lot of stipulations on that too. We'll work through it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? We have no meetings tomorrow. So probably won't see you guys. Enjoy your 4th. I expect you to come back Monday with all 10 digits. Okay, we'll adjourn.